Channel Sports Central will be going over our second edition of our early college football top 25. And as you know, back in January, we already did our first edition of this, but that's pretty outdated at this point as we're now in mid-spring. And so, we're going to be going over our second edition of our college football rankings this offseason. So that being said, we're going to look at year 21 through 25. And once again, we will not be going over every team in a detailed analysis in this video. If you want to see detailed analysis on a certain team, we've done a schedule preview for pretty much every team in these rankings. So if you want to check out that, I highly suggest that you do so. But nonetheless, here's 21 through 25. At number 25, we got Boise State. And Boise State was a team last season that surprised a lot of people. They did really well. They were in the rankings for the majority of the season, and they're losing quite a bit of talent after 2019. So I definitely think Boise State will be a good team next year. I definitely think that they'll contend pretty well in the Mountain West, but I don't expect them to be a team that will make a New Year's Six Bowl. But either way, number 24, we got USC, and USC was a team last season that they were okay. I believe they finished third in the Big 12 overall, and so they were a decent team. But either way, they're returning a lot of talent, so I do expect USC to be a team that will contend in the Pac-12 once again next season. But either way, the recruiting class is a little bit concerning for me. Of course, USC is just outside of the top 50 for the 2020 recruiting rankings. But either way, number 23, we got Baylor. And Baylor is a team that surprised a ton of people, including me last season. I expected Baylor to be maybe an 8 or a 9 win team, but they definitely exceeded that. They were really good last season. They made it to a New Year's Six Bowl. And I'm not sure that'll happen again in 2020. I think Baylor's a great team and all, and they're returning Charlie Brewer too, but still, Baylor, they lost a lot after last season, and that's a little bit concerning for me, but I do expect Baylor to still hang right around in the college football rankings. But number 22, we got Iowa. The Iowa Hawkeyes were a team that definitely contended in the Big Ten West last season. They didn't quite make it to the Big Ten Championship because Minnesota and Wisconsin were in the way. But Iowa's definitely a team to watch out for in that division this season. I think Iowa, even though they're losing their quarterback, I do believe that they're going to be a good team once again next season. I expect a lot of Iowa. But nonetheless, number 21 is Notre Dame, and that may come as a surprise to many of you. I've seen many polls where Notre Dame is in the top 15 at least. Some of them have them in the top 10, but Notre Dame is losing a ton of talent after the 2019 season. Notre Dame's a great team. They were a great team last season as well. Obviously, they were a bit of a step down compared to how they were in 2018. But Notre Dame is certainly a team that you could watch out for, but I just don't expect them to be a national contender. Moving on to your 16 through 20. At number 20, we got Michigan. And if you remember back in January, I actually had Michigan at number 17 or 16, I believe. I had this team much higher, but looking at how they're at, or where they're at now, honestly, for Michigan, if there was going to be a season where they could make the college football playoff or beat Ohio State, make it to the Big Ten Championship game, it would have been last season. This team had so much talent last year, and it's definitely a wasted opportunity, but some seasons are like that. Sometimes it just happens that way, but certainly for Michigan, I'm dropping them to 20 in my second edition just because, there's a lot of uncertainties around them right now. And, it's going to be a toss-up season for them. They could either miss a bowl game completely or they could be really good. Who knows what's going to happen there. But, I definitely think Michigan is a team that even though they're losing a ton of talent after 2019, they still got potential. So definitely watch out for them in the Big Ten. But moving over to number 19, we got Tennessee. And Tennessee was a team that last season they improved a ton over the year. If you remember, they started out absolutely terrible, but at the end of the season, they looked like a totally different team. And in 2020, definitely this is a team to watch out for in the SEC. I consider them a big-time SEC dark horse. I think Tennessee is a team that will contend in the rankings actually quite a bit next year. Of course, they've got a ton of potential, and they've got a ton of returning talent from 2019. And, Tennessee is a team to watch out for once again, so certainly don't sleep on them. But number 18 is another surprise team, one of two of the major surprise teams from last season, and that's the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And this was a team that won, or they were close to winning the Big Ten West last season. They were just behind Wisconsin. Minnesota is definitely a team that, they're returning Tanner Morgan. They're returning a lot of talent on their team still. And so I certainly think Minnesota next season is going to make a run for the Big Ten West. It would not surprise me a single bit to see them win the division. They are losing a decent amount of talent, though, so it will be tougher to do so. But once again, Minnesota is a team that I do expect to play pretty well next season, especially in the Big Ten. Number 17 is Virginia Tech. And this is another big dark horse team, kind of similar to Tennessee. Last season, they really improved over the season. They started off pretty terrible, but they moved on in the rest of the season. Their November was really good. So, for Virginia Tech, I expect them to have a pretty good season. going into 2020, so definitely watch out for them in the ACC. Moving on to number 16 is Texas. The Longhorns were a team that was super hyped up going into 2019, and that was a bit of a disappointment in the end. But yeah, Texas certainly was a team that still I expect to be pretty good next season. They returned Sam Ehlinger, of course, their quarterback, and they do lose a couple in the wide receiving core. There are a couple of other tough losses there, but I certainly think Texas will contend for the Big 12 once again. It would not surprise me a single bit to see them top 3 or 4. But yeah, Texas definitely is a team that was a disappointment in 2019. And I think this season people are setting them lower expectations. But yeah, don't sleep on Texas. We saw how good this team was, especially at the end of the 2018 season. That's why everyone was thinking Texas would be a national contender in 2019. But yeah, either way, Texas is still a team to watch out for, in my opinion. Moving on to number 11 through 15, and at number 15, this may come as a big surprise to many of you. We got North Carolina at 15, and North Carolina kind of similar to Virginia Tech and Tennessee. They're a big dark horse. Not many people are talking about him, but with Mack Brown, and they got a great recruiting class, this team is definitely, they've got potential to do some really big things in the 2019 season. And if you saw my, in the 2020 season, and if you saw my schedule preview on this team previously, yeah, North Carolina definitely, they've got a ton of potential. I think this team could definitely cause some damage in the ACC this upcoming season. Number 14 is going to be Oklahoma State, and I've actually got this team above Texas in my rankings. I don't have them above Iowa State, but I do have them above Texas. So, but yeah, definitely Oklahoma State is a team to watch out for as well. They had a pretty mediocre 2019 season, but yeah, this team is returning a lot of talent. They've got a lot of potential for sure moving in to 2020. Same thing for Iowa State. They're very similar to Oklahoma State this upcoming season. Brock Purdy, this team's really, they've got a lot of potential. I would not be surprised a single bit to see Iowa State make it to the Big 12 championship next season. I think Iowa State is a great team, and yeah, once again, this team has got a lot of talent, no doubt about it. I love their coach, Campbell, so yeah, Iowa State, watch out for them. Number 12 is going to be Auburn, and Auburn was a team that was okay last season. They were definitely a big contender in the SEC, but overall a bit of a disappointment, but I do expect them to hang right around where they were last season. They're going to stick right around at that 12 spot. Number 11 is going to be Wisconsin, and this is a team that won the Big Ten West last season. They actually contended with Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship there for a little bit, but didn't really turn out the best, but they ended up losing to Oregon in the Rose Bowl. But yeah, Wisconsin definitely was a team last season that was really good. They exceeded my expectations, at least. I expected Wisconsin to finish second or third in the Big Ten West. I did not expect them to win it, so definitely Wisconsin, considering how they did last season, and they're still returning a ton of talent. So yeah, Wisconsin, watch out for them in the Big Ten West once again. Moving on to our top 10, we got 10 being Texas A&M. And with Jimbo Fisher as their head coach, this team's got a great recruiting class coming in, and they're doing really well right now. Of course, last season was a bit of a disappointment as well, but their schedule was brutal last year. If you saw their schedule, it was really tough, and I expect Texas A&M with an easier schedule this season. Watch out for them. They definitely will be a top 10 team next season, in my opinion. Number 9 is going to be Oklahoma, and Oklahoma ended up winning the Big 12 last season, and that's really nothing new. They've won the Big 12 a lot in the past few years, but yeah, Oklahoma is definitely a team that I still expect to be really good next season, even though they're losing Jalen Hurts. This team still has a ton of potential, ton of talent, great recruiting, so yeah, watch out for Oklahoma still. They will not be going away. Number 8 is going to be Oregon, and the Oregon Ducks do lose Justin Herbert, their quarterback, as well. But their running back core is going to be really good heading into next season, so watch out for that. Their offense in general is looking really good heading into 2020. Same as their defense. Their defense is returning a lot as well. So if they can fill in that quarterback position, if they can replace Justin Herbert, I definitely think Oregon is going to be a national contender once again in the 2020 season, so watch out for them. In number 7, we got Penn State. And not many people are talking about Penn State, mainly because they kind of flopped towards the end of last season. But yeah, I definitely think Penn State is going to be a team to watch out for in 2020, mainly because this team has got a lot of returning talent. They've got a lot of returning potential. So yeah, you got to watch out for Penn State as well in the Big Ten East. I expect them to finish second. I don't think they'll beat Ohio State out next season. Ohio State's just going to be way too good. But yeah, still watch out for Penn State. Number 6 is going to be Georgia, and Georgia's a team that actually has the best recruiting class in the nation, according to 24/7 Sports, heading into 2020. So, yeah, that's a team to watch out for right there in general, just because of that. But even though they're losing Jake Fromm, definitely this team has got a ton of talent still, once again, as I've said with many teams. but it's so true. Like for Georgia, even though they're losing Jake Fromm, if they can replace him, if they can get a good quarterback to replace him, I think Georgia's definitely a national contender once again going into 2020. And now on to your 1 through 5. We got Clemson at 1, Ohio State at 2, Alabama at 3, and then LSU at 4. And this is pretty similar, I'm sure, to many other polls with Clemson at number 1. I'm not expecting much out of or much differently. I expect Clemson to still really contend with Trevor Lawrence and all that talent that team has. This team is definitely going to be one to watch out for. Same as Ohio State. I mean, with Justin Fields, last year was his first full year of playing, and he did really well. I consider him as the best quarterback in the Big Ten last season, and yeah, I expect that to continue. Ohio State, definitely another team to watch out for. And considering their head coach, Ryan Day, had as good of a first season as he did, you got to watch out for them. We also got Alabama at 3, LSU at 4, so you got your 2 SEC teams at 3 and 4, and of course LSU losing Joe Burrow. I considered throwing Florida up at the number 4 position, as I do expect Florida to be a team that's really going to contend next season as well. But yeah, nonetheless, this is what your top 5 looks like. You got, once again, Clemson at 1, Ohio State 2, Alabama at 3, LSU 4, and then Florida at 5. And you also could throw in Georgia too. Georgia could definitely be in this top 5. But yeah, either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on these rankings. Let me know whether you disagree with anything. And I'm sure this happens with every ranking video. Typically, there are a lot of disagreements. Let me know all of those in the comments below. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But yeah, once again, thank you all for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. If you enjoyed this ranking video, be sure to slap a like on it. Also, subscribe too. It really helps out the channel, and I'd really appreciate that as well. But yeah, once again, thank you all for watching. Once again, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I will see you all later.